Welcome to Elevation Nation with your hosts Sam Panich and Parker Yablon. Elevation Nation is a community focused on bringing together young adults who are elevating themselves and others every day. Each week, we welcome a new elevator to share their story and experiences to help you conquer the real world.
Elevation Nation. Today on the podcast, we have someone who, she doesn't know this, but I've admired her from afar. She's been an entrepreneur, a content creator, someone that brings communities together. And when I finally worked up the courage to DM her, I was pleasantly surprised that she agreed to be a member of Elevation Nation and come and share her story on the podcast. We have Morgan Raum. Welcome to Elevation Nation. We're so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me. You're so nice.
I am so excited to see where this conversation goes. I mean, we're going to talk community. Maybe we'll talk food, maybe the best hacks of food in New York City. Morgan, I don't know how much you know about D.C. Sam's down in D.C. Maybe some food down there. I don't know. But Morgan, it's so great to meet you. We're so happy to have you. And we start off every Elevation Nation podcast the exact same way. We've done 500 of these episodes. We got to hear, what's your elevator pitch so our audience can know a little bit more about you?
Well, I'm a food influencer and I founded Shabbat Club, and it's a culturally Jewish community and pop-up dinner party series for Jewish people who don't feel like they have a home in the traditionally Jewish spaces. And I think we're a really great group of people, cool, young professionals, care a lot about Judaism, just not in a religious capacity. And it's the greatest place for making friends that I've ever had.
It's incredible that you've been able to build that community, which we certainly will dive into because Parker and I are very interested in community building. But I want to rewind first, Morgan, because your story certainly didn't start there, nor did it start just with influencing food and trying all the best bites around New York City. You kind of had a dream job out of school. At least I think it's a dream job. It sounds pretty cool with being a food writer, People Magazine. Talk to us about landing that incredible gig and what it was like to have, such an impressive first job out of school.
Thank you. Well, I think I got lucky with that job, just the fact that I saw it, and I wasn't necessarily trying to be a writer, but I did love writing, and I already had my food Instagram. I started that when I was in high school. So I knew I was interested in both things. The job came across my computer and I applied to it. I got the job and I was there for 8 months, writing 2 to 3 articles a day. You were just churning out content when you're there. And I had editors who were looking over everything. It was really fun as a real journalist. And I remember a couple months into the job, I asked them, like, "Oh, are we journalists?" And they thought that was so silly. Like, yeah, that's what we are. Of course, we're reporting the news. And it was really great. And I would have stayed much longer. I could see myself still being a food writer if not for the pandemic when I was laid off. And then I just had a completely different career reroute after that.
So you were waking up every day. Walk me through life as a food writer. Sorry, food journalist at People. We need to make that very clear. You waking up. Are you sitting in the office and just writing about this new pop-up or this new restaurant that comes up? Are you actually going to the restaurant, meeting with the chef or the owner or whomever, or it's just kind of all the above?
Yeah, so our office was in FIDI, which was really fun for me because I felt like a real professional adult. And I would get there every single morning before my editors. And my responsibility first thing was always to look at all of the other food journalism from the past 24 hours, see what was interesting, and then pitch the good things to my editors. slash also I would go on TikTok, which was just starting out then because it was 2019 and I was a huge TikToker already, which was an advantage because most people weren't yet. So I would go on social media and read the news and just pitch ideas to my editors for what would make good articles for the day. And then I would just write for the next 7 hours.
What a
And
time. What a
but we
time.
had fun things too. Like we would get really cool deliveries at the office. I remember one
Imagine.
time McDonald's came to the office during March because it was St. Patrick's Day and they have their what's it called? Do you know
Shamrock
the
shakes.
Yeah, the Shamrock Shake, which is so good. I love the Shamrock Shake. So this was my dream. And they came to the office. I guess this must have been just a couple weeks before COVID. Um, and they had a golden Shamrock Shake cup, and it was like solid gold. And there were all these weird things always at the office, and it was just so fun.
I can imagine that you probably got some interesting care packages as well. And just like
Yes.
everything that, you thought you would get one thing and be like, oh, this is a completely different thing coming in. But okay, so
Mhm.
8 months at People, COVID hits,
Mhm.
2020, world flips upside down. Sam and myself were going to our parents' places. I don't know where you went. You probably just went back
Mhm.
to where, not too far, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was a weird time. It was an interesting time. It was a scary time, but also an exciting time. Spend really close time with family and be able to just be together. But also, Sam and myself, we took it upon ourselves to like, oh, let's build something right now. Let's continue to grind on something we're passionate about. And that's kind of where Elevation Nation was born. We'd spend every evening and we talk about how can we create a platform to help young people elevate their mindset. Morgan, walk us through. You get laid off. COVID's there. Are you looking for another job? Are you saying, wait, I have this following on social media. Maybe I should double
Mhm.
down?
I would say it was definitely a mix. I did not start looking seriously for a job because I don't think most people were doing that if they didn't have to. And I was lucky enough to already, I was living with my parents. I hadn't moved out yet. I didn't have rent to pay. I didn't have insurance to pay because I was under 26. So for the next like 6 weeks, I happened to be staying with my friends in Long Island. And I was just on the worst sleep schedule ever. I would stay up until 6 a.m. to go sunrise kayaking every single day. And then life started getting a little bit normal. Again, I went back to New York City and started going back into restaurants to take content again. But it was a completely different world when I re entered it after COVID because TikTok had blown up during the peak of the pandemic and everyone was making videos now and Instagram Reels launched I think in June or July of 2020. So that was like I had to teach myself how to take videos basically of food. I had only been doing photos up until that point on my big camera and I really switched starting around that point to mostly iPhone content and mostly videos. And because of the pandemic, I had taught myself how to do those videos. I was one of those girls TikTok dancing and but also taking videos of food. And it just, yeah, it became a completely different place. And I did get a job a couple months later and it wasn't in food. But I always continued the food Instagram and I really, really wanted to go viral on TikTok. That was like my goal. And then the first week of the pandemic, I did go viral. And starting at that point, I was like, I know what TikTok can do for me. And I want to see this through and I want to make as much content as I can. And it was really, really exciting.
So you got to talk to us. What was your first viral video?
Okay. So, you know that cranberry bog in all of the Ocean Spray commercials?
Yes. I
That is
thought
a
you were going
real
to say it was you
place.
dancing, Morgan. I'm disappointed. Okay,
Definitely
go
not me
ahead.
dancing. Nobody wants to see that. The Cranberry Bog is a real place, and I messaged them to visit, I don't know, a year prior, and they said, "This is our farming season." I went in, like, October, November 2019. I posted photos on Instagram, and it was over. And then in March 2020, I said, "Okay, why not post the videos that I took on TikTok?" And I did, and everyone was shocked that it was a real thing, and I was wading knee deep in my overalls with my boots, and there are bog spiders, and yeah, it was crazy. So that was the big viral moment for me.
I would have way too much fun in the cranberry bog, I will say.
Mhm.
Like it's incredible. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you first of all, it's really cool that you took videos and then you said months later you posted them.
Mhm. Yeah, like
I mean
5
that
or 6 months later.
wow. That's
Mhm.
fascinating. Oftentimes when I like think about content, it's like, oh, I gotta post something that's like happening in my life right now. But to your
Yeah.
point, it's like, wait, I have so many other great videos, so much cool stuff that might have
Mhm.
happened years ago. And people forget to post about it. For you, Morgan, that led you to your first viral video. The feeling
Yes.
of going viral, I can say I've gone viral. I mean, maybe not viral like you. I had a video get 1 million views,
Mhm.
and it was a crazy, crazy experience. My phone lost power within like minutes every day for the first 2 weeks. It was crazy, blah, blah, a lot of comments. But for you,
Mhm.
you were building a following. And for me, I was just like, all right, this is fun. For you, you were like, wait, I can do something with this. So what was next? Like, how did you see what you were doing and like start to like make something of it?
At this point, I had already gotten some brand deals, which looked very, very different then than they do now. I remember in college, I got my first brand deal with Dunkin' Donuts, and they paid me $25. And it was a really big deal. And there was some event that I was at with other food influencers, and they told me they'd gotten paid $500 for a post. And I was like, no way. There's no way that I could ever make that. And it sounded so outlandish and incredible. It was like my ulterior goal. And then by the time COVID hit, I mean, brands started paying like 1,000, 1,500, and that was like the biggest deal in the world to me. And I had a job, I think, when I got that deal. So I was like, oh, this is like exciting and like side income. So that's how I was viewing it. Just like, this is a side thing that I'm doing, and it could never turn into full time. I was not imagining that that was possible. And then the more I made content and the better that I got at it, like the more that brands started coming to me, the more I started asking for, and the more that there were other influencers getting involved who I would compare notes with, and they would pitch themselves super high. And that was shocking to me. And then I would pitch that number, and then the brand would say yes. And I was like, the sky's the limit here. Like, what could I be doing? And it was really, really exciting for many years after that. Yeah.
I want to ask Morgan, you've always been entrepreneurial. We skipped over it, but you had a little micro business, Sneakers by Morgan, during
Mhm.
COVID, right? Where you were just
Yeah.
doing something you were passionate about. It sounds like, I don't know if cranberry bogs is your passion, but talking about food and filming yourself eating, talking about, the creation behind food has always been a passion. But like you mentioned, you were doing this on the side. You had other jobs. And I
Mhm.
think oftentimes so many people that we interview, they say to us, Parker and Sam, why aren't you guys all in yet? Like, why didn't you go all in on Elevation Nation? And
Mhm.
we talked to some people who did take that plunge and that leap, and others that are kind of still figuring it out, doing two things at once. Can you talk to us about that life when you were working another full job while trying to build your following in this entrepreneurial business? And how did you balance that?
Yeah. So when I was at People Magazine, that was my first full time job out of college. And those two jobs made sense. Like, I was getting content from my full-time job for my part-time job, and they just fed into each other. When I joined the founding team at Locks Club, which is a Jewish dating app, that had nothing to do with food, but it gave me an opportunity to pivot my own content. And I remember the first few weeks that I joined the team, I was an unpaid intern. I don't even know if I was an intern. I just was there. I was like a volunteer. And I made a video about Locks Club saying, hey, if you're single and Jewish, this is the place to be. I acted like I didn't work there.
Was this you in the park, by the way? Because that was my first video I saw of you. You walking around Central Park, which I'm surprised you didn't bump into Parker because he essentially sleeps there. But that is the first video I remember of you, Morgan.
The I'm single video.
Yes.
Yeah. Believe it or not, that was actually in Venice, California.
What?
Yeah, that was not Central Park. Everyone thinks that.
That's so upsetting. All right, never mind.
No, yeah, that was years later. That was a crazy time, actually. But no, this video was like everybody's introduction to Locks Club. That video went viral, and I think I kind of solidified my place at Locks Club after that. They hired me full time like a few weeks later. So, and I only got that job too because I slid into their DMs from my food Instagram, and they probably were like, "Oh, cool, an influencer that can advertise us for free." Like, I had no other qualifications, and I didn't know them. I just randomly found Locks Club pre-launch in the comments of a We Met at Acme Instagram post. So
Well, that's ironic because We Met at Acme actually came at me and Parker once for something we said. What did we even say, Parker? We were on Alana Dunn's podcast,
Oh, my
and she
friend.
essentially she shat on us. It was the first
Alana?
time we ever got. No, not Alana.
No,
Alana's
no,
nice.
no.
Oh,
Alana loves us. We Met at Acme lady like clipped me and Parker talking about something on Alana's podcast, and then just told us we were wrong. And that
uh-oh.
was the first time we got yelled at. So yeah.
Did you deserve it, or?
Probably. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't
We were giving some
remember
hot
it.
takes back then.
I think it was something you said, Sam.
I'm sure it was. I'm working on the dating game, man. I don't have all the answers. But I do give Locks Club with credit. They did help me find one girlfriend in my past life. So thank you.
One
Locks Club.
boyfriend for me.
There
So
you go. Way to
there we
Locks
go.
Club.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a crazy world. I think balancing a full-time gig with building your own thing. And I think it's becoming more and more common for people. But to your point, Morgan, sometimes they intersect nicely and sometimes they don't. And for Parker and myself, we work in Big Four consulting, and we were doing this vulnerable mindset podcast and keynote speech. And Parker and I literally kept this hidden from EY for so long because you're not really supposed to do, this is Big Four consulting. You're supposed to be spending 70 hours a week grinding. So the fact that we had time to do something else, we were scared people would start to judge us. And very lucky that some nice people at EY found what we were doing and EY leaned into it. And now it's started to overlap. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we were in Orlando speaking to all the interns, and EY's invested in wellness and mental health for their people, which has been a great overlap for us. But I think initially we thought there's no way in hell a consulting and accounting firm is going to get behind us talking vulnerably about the struggles that we're having as young people in mindset. But sometimes you just figure it out and then you kind of just keep going,
Yeah. And also, I was lucky, at least with Locks Club, they encouraged me to work on my Instagram and my own brand because I was plugging them all of the time. I was constantly making content about them or tagging them. For example, that video where I walked around this park in Venice and I had my phone at the top of my head. It said, I'm single. And that video series got at least 40 million views. And I tagged Locks Club in the caption, and they had, like, I think millions of hits that week. Not that it really made a difference. I mean, but like my bosses didn't care, but at least they didn't say they did. And yeah, it was great because I weaved them in together, and the more Locks Club grew, the more it made sense for me to weave into my content anyway, because we started hosting events at bars and restaurants, and we had food guides coming out every month, and I started writing their monthly newsletter, which I became obsessed with. And really, I give Locks Club so much credit for my interest today and my skills and everything that I'm doing right now. I mean, I learned so much of it at Locks Club. So,
And that's sometimes the best reward of working in a company, I guess a startup for you. And Sam and I, it's funny we're having this conversation because we were just debating, should we encourage young people to go off on their own and start their own thing? Or should they go and work for someone else and learn the ropes and find their passions and what they're good at and what not good at? Sounds like for you, Morgan, Locks Club was a place where you could be yourself. You could continue to build your own personal brand while also supporting the mission of the company, but also you found that community was something that you were very passionate about. Let's talk a little bit about community and Shabbat Club and what you're building. Tell us a little bit more about Shabbat Club. Did that stem from something that happened during Locks Club? Tell us about the inspiration behind Shabbat Club.
Yeah, I would say it was a little bit of both. I knew that I loved curating the guest list at events. That was my job when I was at Locks. I wouldn't plan them, but I would bring people to them. And I was obsessed with it. And I did all of the event photography at the Locks Club events. And it was something I knew I was passionate about and that I was good at. And I knew I wanted to host Shabbat. So I live in a studio apartment, and at the time I had 2 roommates. It wasn't ever going to be possible to do in my own home, but I have this food Instagram that has given me this network of Jewish restaurant owners, and they wanted to host with me. So it was kind of just like a natural progression that I started hosting at restaurants. And Locks Club is very much culturally Jewish, especially back then. They weren't leaning into like Jewish holidays or traditions in that way. So they had never hosted a Shabbat or even a Hanukkah party. And I said to them, hey, like, I want to host an event for Locks Club. So my first ever event was a Locks Club Shabbat. And it was like a community hosted, like member hosted event. So I was the member. And I worked with Maxwell Social in Tribeca, and I curated a dinner of 25 or like 20 maybe single Jewish people that I found in the Locks Club database. And I was messaging them and I was like, hey, like, I'm making this dinner and I think you would be perfect for it. And after the dinner, we had another 150 to 200 people come for an after party. And it was like literally the best night of my life. I was like, it feels like it's my birthday. And I want to feel like this all the time. And I had all my friends come, even my not single friends came to the after party. And I was like, oh, like I just did that. And it was the best event that I've ever been to. And it was my friends and my work. And after that, I knew that I could do it. And I just wanted to do it all the time. And I launched Shabbat Club like in an official capacity a few months later. And at the same time, I left my job, not because of Shabbat Club by any means. It was just a coincidence. And that was also like the week of October 7th. So it was just a really crazy time for Jewish community in general, because at least in New York, like all the Jewish people that I know wanted to be together. And it just coincided with the launch of Shabbat Club and my leaving Locks Club. And like my life just changed in a 2-week span, really. And I really decided to go all in on Shabbat Club, and made it what it is today. And now it's like accounts for half of my income at this point and my time.
It's an incredible journey, and I think sometimes timing and the stars and the universe all align to help you find one of your callings. And for you, it sounded like starting Shabbat Club all worked out kind of serendipitously. And I'm so impressed, Morgan, with what you started it as and where you've grown it to now. I hate to admit this, but I'm going to. Parker and I have been and were for a while exploring starting our own spin-off community for young men. More to come post podcast. We'll give you the
Okay.
lowdown. And you were the community that like I really tried to copy, to be perfectly honest.
Oh,
Like
that's
all the
nice.
aesthetics, all the visuals, how you did the ticketing, like even again, I'm telling you, like I was stalking you guys, like how you would take applications but not accept everybody until it was reviewed. I was like trying to break your back end and figure out like how did you guys do that so that Parker and I could do the same like application process. Everything that you've done is so curated, and how you invite people, whether you do this or not. When you message me like, Sam, come to these Shabbat dinners, I'm like, oh, Morgan wants me to come to this dinner. She must like really think I'm gonna vibe with people that like. So you do just a really good job of making people feel special. And I think for people that run communities, that's so important, because community is not only wanting to be seen at the event, it's wanting to be desired, that your input and your perspective is wanted at this community. So what do you think is so unique about what you've built at Shabbat Club, and how do you try to differentiate yourself and your community from some others that exist?
Um, I think the primary difference is the people, because I'm so specific about who I'm letting come to the
Thank you.
events.
You're making me feel better. Keep going. This is great.
Yeah, and every event is different, of course. Like, some people might be a fit for one event and not for another. And I have friends who apply all the time for an event, and I message them and I'm like, "Hey, like I don't think that this is going to be your style. I would set this one out." Because I'm trying to get a group of people together that I think will vibe with each other. And I have this application process. So every single event is approval based. And every single event is at a different place, because the goal of Shabbat Club simultaneously is to support all of these Jewish business owners and restaurateurs around New York City, and really have this like culturally Jewish food scene that's exploding in New York specifically, have like be the center of Shabbat Club while also creating a community around it. So I like to host at all these really good restaurants and support those people, but it's not just about the food, it's also about the environment and who you're dining with. So I always have table and seating assignments, and a lot of thought goes into every decision, I would say, that we make. It's not just a free for all. People get really mad. Sometimes, like, they'll threaten me, um, and they're so upset, they're offended, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm doing this for you. Like, I don't think you'd have a good time. And I I have a really good example too, and I'm not going to name names, but somebody wrote a 7-page article about Shabbat Club and how they were upset basically that they weren't getting in. And I finally let them into an event because I thought it was a good one for them to partake in. And they thought it was like a well-produced event, but they didn't have a good time, and now they're upset. And I'm like, "So you see now why my decision process is important. Like, I didn't think you'd enjoy it, and you didn't." So, yeah.
It's a fascinating thing that I imagine for many community builders, they obviously want to create an environment that meets the mission and the brand and the aesthetic and everything. And oftentimes they're selling a lot of tickets and they're saying, "Hey, come in, but here's what we're about." And if they don't vibe with it, whatever. For you, you're so fixated, it sounds like, on the experience. It's highly curated, very detail oriented, that you get to be intentional and you want to be intentional. It's part of the business. It's part of the what makes it great is that you're putting in the extra effort to not only make it a great experience when people are there, but also making sure the people who are there can vibe with each other. Is there like any specific method that you go and like you look at or to be able to make that happen, or is it purely instinct?
It's definitely a mix, and it also depends on the event, because a 40-person matchmaking dinner is not going to have the same process as the 550-person Purim party that I just hosted. So it really depends. And also, what's the goal of the event? Is it a Rosh Hashanah dinner? Because in that case, I'm not even releasing the invite publicly because I don't want to turn away people for a high holiday. So I'm just blasting it to, our regulars and letting them bring friends. And every single one, yeah, really is different. I do love my Google spreadsheets. I'm obsessed with the data and I'm constantly looking at it. So, I'll have an 100% event. I'm making sure that the ratio of men to women is relatively equal, although you always want to have more women than men because they take up less space physically. And also, they're flakier. And then I'm also looking at the age range. So if I have a ton of 24-year-old women and I have all these men who are 38 who are applying, maybe I don't think that's the best mix of people. But if I have also 28, 29, 30, 32-year-old women, then I'm able to approve more of the older men. And in the end, it's arbitrary. I chose those numbers. I'm choosing the age range. I'm deciding every factor of the event. But that's what I've seen work the best as someone who did this for 3 years at Lux Club. And I know the mistakes that we made and how we improved. And I didn't have to make those mistakes at Shabbat Club because I already saw what happened and how to fix them.
It sounds like you reflect a lot on a previous event. You have a process to understand what went well, what done well. I have another question before I know Sam was going to jump in. In part in entrepreneurship, especially, we've interviewed so many entrepreneurs who have quit their job. They've gone all in on their own thing, their business, whatever it might be. And I'm always so fascinated, for an entrepreneur who's been doing it for a long period of time and someone who continues to see the impact that they're making. It's filling them up. But to your point, you said that Shabbat Club also provides you almost half your income to live. And so as you continue to do it, how do you remind yourself to not get fixated so much on the dollar amount sometimes and more about why you love to bring people together?
Yeah, I cannot care about it. Otherwise, there would be a lot of events that I would not be able to host. And this is the first year where I'm making even a somewhat comparable salary to my food Instagram, which I don't even think that it's going to stay on that trajectory. Um, but there are events where I make $100 or in one case I lost $300. And typically that's not the case. I try as often as I can to supplement the income from a dinner, for example, with an after party where I'm not spending $80, $100 per person on the food and the drink, and people can just walk in after the dinner and I can charge them $18 or $36 at the door. And that's where maybe I'll make the majority of my income from a dinner party. But if I cared only about the money, first of all, I don't think Shabbat Club would be as fun because I'd have to be doing things very differently. I'd have to be charging more for tickets. I'd probably have to be hosting way more often, which, as I'm sure you know, makes the quality of the applicants go down and there's less interest. It's less exclusive. And right now I'm on whatever schedule I want. I don't have any events right now in May and I don't have to have any because that's not my main income and because I don't feel like it. So I'm able to do that because I'm not relying on it as my main income stream. And I really don't want to get to that point because I like how free it feels and unstructured.
It resonates with Parker and myself so much, Morgan, because for so long we were like, how are we going to make money on Elevation Nation? And at one point when we were first starting off, Parker and I said, let's just not focus on money. For the next 6 months, let's not even talk about dollars and cents. Let's just see what this turns into. And it started to snowball from there of we just get to have really dope conversations and expand our network. That was it for the first 6 months. We kept that momentum going, and to this day, try our very best to not care about the money. And that's why we still have full-time jobs that pay our bills. It allows us, to your point, the freedom to be able to pour our creativity and our passion into Elevation Nation, whether it's the podcast, content, or us speaking around the country. It brings us fulfillment. And when that brings us fulfillment over dollars, it makes it a lot easier to want to wake up every day and work on it. And so I'm with you. I think it's a beautiful way to approach entrepreneurship. There needs to be a new phrase for that. It's like partnerpreneurship or something, like you're like part-time doing it and making money from it. But I think that's for me, it's the best of both worlds, being able to balance the creativity of entrepreneurship with the steadiness of a job that I really like. And I give you a lot of credit because it's not easy to ignore the dollars and cents all the time. So pat yourself on the back. You're also way nicer than I am of like figuring out who would be in the event and who wouldn't. Like I would just be like, this is my company. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. So I give you more credit that you're actually thinking about it and taking time. Because Parker and I are like, it's our podcast. We can have whoever we want on. And I don't care what anyone says. So I give you a ton of kudos. I want to, Morgan, move us into our next segment here, which is our rapid fire section. We have a couple quick questions for you. We want the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Okay.
No pressure. This is going to be a really hard first question. What's your favorite restaurant in New York City right now?
Carbone.
Okay, you did just post about them. I think that's fair.
Yeah, everyone makes fun of me for it, but can't escape that spicy rig.
Yeah, I was going to say, I felt like it was very, very popular. It's still very popular. It's a very hard reservation to get. But, like, why now? Why still? I'm sure you've tried so many different things.
Well, first of all, vodka pasta is my favorite dish. And it has been for at least 7 years, which is the first time I went there was, I think, 2018, 2017 maybe. And I took a long break in between unintentionally. And then I went back right before Passover this year. It was like my last pre-Passover bread meal. And it was just as good. So I think that they deserve the number one spot on my list.
We just had a really good meal, Parker, together in New York City. The
Where?
Korean chicken place.
Oh,
Kokovak,
yeah.
I think it's called.
Kokodok.
Kokodok.
Yes, yeah.
That's on my block.
It's pretty
Oh,
good.
really?
Yeah.
That one, I mean, I'm sure you've been there. And I'm sure you've tried it or seen it. Maybe not. I don't know. But a lot of cool, Instagrammable
Cool vibes. Yeah.
experiences
soap.
in there. Yeah. A lot of soap.
Yeah.
Walking in, Sam was pumped about the soap. Okay.
Yeah,
next
the mirror,
question.
the cleaning. That's good.
Oh, yeah, exactly. All right, next question for you. Have you gotten a piece of advice from someone through the years that just resonated so much with you? I'm curious, what is that piece of advice that's really helped you?
I think the best advice I've gotten, it's not from like one person, but just from many experiences and people who host who just say like the people is the most important thing ever. Like you could be in the shittiest room with the worst food, and if the people are great, it's still going to be a fun time.
That's such a good point. Like we get so fixated sometimes, and I think Sam and I, when we were really focused on the community thing, is like the superficial things, the material things, the things that like you think would make an event good is just an enhancer. It's not the core of why you throw an event. To your point, it's the people. It's the conversations, the experiences that you share with others. It's a great answer, Morgan.
Okay, last one. I'm going back to Shabbat Club here for this one. Is there a dream collab that you want to have happen for Shabbat Club? Something that you're like, once this happens, like, oh my gosh, that's a dream.
For Shabbat Club,
Yeah.
probably just like any iconic Jewish brand like Dr. Brown's soda or Manischewitz. And Manischewitz has
That would be
food,
cool.
not just like the sweet
I hear
wine.
you. Give me some jars of gefilte fish and I'll be a happy boy. Is that disgusting? Does that make me gross?
Yeah.
No.
Whatever.
No, dude. I saw a video. I think it was a guy on Barstool. He was eating gefilte fish, and he was just not having it. He couldn't even look at him. Like,
I'm on
first
his,
of
I'm on
all,
his side.
yeah, I mean, like, a lot of people don't like it. They think it's gross, but you got to throw a little horseradish on that, and then boom, we're good. We're golden. That thing is
It's
great.
protein packed, man. It's a healthy.
Dude,
I don't
it's
know
so
about healthy,
good.
but-
It's so good. By the way, there is a Manischewitz food truck that I pass on the Upper West Side sometimes. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
With the new
I
branding
want them to
and
park
everything that they
outside
have.
of Shabbat Club. How fun would that be?
Oh my gosh. I feel like you could make that happen.
Yeah,
I
let's
feel like that
manifest that.
I've
needs to
tried.
happen.
Yeah.
That needs to happen.
hmm
Okay, Morgan, we got one more question for you. This has been a fun conversation. Just thank you for the authenticity throughout the entire podcast. We ask every single person who joins Elevation Nation, whether that's on the podcast or someone who comes to an Elevation Nation event, what their mental motto is. It's a phrase, a quote, a slogan that they lead their life by. Morgan, we're curious. What's your mental motto?
It's the same as my mom's, which is just ex malo bonum, which in Latin means out of bad comes good. And along those lines, I just think everything happens for a reason. And I know that a lot of the really bad things that I've had happen in my life, I can see why they happened in retrospect. So I try not to let bad things bother me because I know there's some lesson in there.
It's a beautiful mental motto. I know Parker is hyped every time we get a Latin mental motto on the podcast. He geeks out.
They've been
because he
coming
loves
around a
Latin.
lot recently.
really have.
I have to say that, Sam.
Latin's making a comeback, you know? But Morgan, we are so grateful to have you officially join Elevation Nation and share your story, your wisdom with all of us on the podcast. Again, like I said, I'm fangirling because I've been watching you and your incredible journey over the last few years. And, you know, Parker and I, as two very proud Jewish young men, are really proud of the work that you're doing, specifically with Shabbat Club, in giving young Jews a place to meet and grow and learn about their culture and potentially their religion. And so thank you for making the world a better place. One
Thank you.
event and I guess one food video at a time. And Parker and I can't wait to hopefully make the exclusive invite list for another Shabbat Club event in the near future. But Elevation Nation, on behalf of Parker, myself, and Morgan, we'll see you next time. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Elevation Nation. If you enjoyed our conversation, hit that subscribe button to get notified when we release a new episode. If you would like to join Elevation Nation or get more information about the nation, please visit our website at www.elevationnation.io. Until next week, Elevation Nation, peace.